Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
You're still awake. Good. I think I can get us back to the time schedule. This will not take too long, but I'm very glad to be given this opportunity. I was given free hands by Richard and Rebecca on the subject, so I will shamelessly talk about the company I work for because we offer a niche in offshoring that I think no other speaker will cover today. But very briefly, who am I? Let's do one more. So who's Erik? Yes, I hail from Denmark, but I had the pleasure of working 5 years in Ecuador, 5 years in Italy, a couple years in China, now 11 years here. And that's because I moved around the world with the world's largest container shipping company, Maersk Line, for 31 years, ended up here as country manager. Now, how does one make the transition from container shipping to BPO? Because after 2 years as country manager, I was offered the chance to move over to Ortigas and manage the very different operation of Maersk. And unlike what Richard would have you believe, I did not start it up. Actually, Maersk was one of the early movers with shared service centers already in 1999. So when I took it over in 2006, there were 700 employees. And when I left Maersk in 2010, there were 1,800. Those 4 years were incredibly interesting. We added 1,100 positions. We got into business analytics. We set up finance and accounting, procurement, etc. So really moving up the value chain. Then when Maersk thought I should return to head office in Copenhagen, I thought I should rather take this offer to head up the already established Regis Service Center. There was only 135 people back then in BGC. And now, since 2012, I am with Global Process Manager, Inc. It sounds like a job title, but it's part of the Magsaysay group, and I'll talk about that very briefly. Some of you may know me from other activities. This is what Richard alluded to. This was very busy until last year when Denmark re-established its embassy in Manila because Danish citizens are very good at getting in trouble anywhere in the world. And I've also been on the European Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines, ECCP board, for quite a long time. It's actually time I will step down in June this year. It's the largest foreign chamber with 760 members, quite a big voice in advocacy. For example, lobbying since 3 years for the creation of Department of ICT that Jonathan was mentioning. We do not really have a single point of contact or single voice in government today. I was part of starting up a Nordic Business Council 3 years ago for Scandinavian and Baltic countries and companies. We're doing well, having really interesting events. And then some other companies in ECP or Magsaysay. So the niche offering in the middle is what I chose to call this because we're not a third-party outsourcing. There's no tick mark there. We are not one of the big third-party operators where I know from some of our clients they feel that they will certainly lose control because the company will take over the process, tell you about it through SLAs and KPIs. They may also suffer a loss of focus. If a company has only 50 jobs to send to Manila, they may feel that they don't really get enough focus or attention in a company of thousands of people. We are also not an in-house captive center because any company that sits abroad, that is stationed abroad and looking at offshoring or outsourcing to Manila, is of course wondering about setting up their own captive centers. And we have many more coming in at the moment, apparently. But that requires scale, that requires investment, probably requires local management, and certainly setting up a local company. So this is not really for the small to medium-sized companies. We are also not a serviced office solution, like there are some here today that will set you up with a nice workstation in a shiny office building, but they will probably not hire the people for you or train them or pay them or service expats. You just get the office environment. So this is where we come in with what I would call hosted offshoring with staff leasing, or some people call it insourcing. That's the tick mark. That's the space we are in. So, Global Process Manager, or GPM, is part of the Magsaysay group. We've been around for quite a while. In the Philippines, we are known for playing in the maritime field. We have 3 shipping companies, one based in Vancouver, the 2 of them based here. And we have a very large activity of Filipino seafarers, almost 40,000. That's almost 10% of the Filipino seafarers on board merchant ships around the world. So we have a bit of a presence. The Magsaysay group is more than 30 companies. Now, the total offshore hosting concept means that as a client abroad or here, you do not need to make any investment. We will make all the investment in office facilities. There is even no need to incorporate a local entity unless you have a need to invoice clients in the Philippines from a Philippine entity. Then you do need to, but we can still service you in terms of payroll, recruitment, office facilities, etc. But this one is a major headache taken away from companies wanting to offshore jobs to the Philippines, because it involves lawyers, SEC, BIR, etc. And you can start with as little as 1 employee. We still have a small Japanese client who set up a virtual PA 2 years ago. They remain with 1 person. Or you can start up with 50, like a new company coming in now. We will customize the office space, choosing between open plan or an enclosed office, try to make it a bit personal. Of course, the client gets a choice of desk and PC, laptop specs and all that. And unlike most of our competitors, we will also customize the salary package or the HR package. Some companies will try to force all employees into 15 vacation leave days and 5 sick leave days or whatever they have. We let the clients decide, because we create an employee handbook for each team. Each team is a ring-fenced team inside our office. And I should add in this connection that when we raise our 2 invoices a month, one for the facilities and the other for salaries and benefits, we have no markup on salaries and benefits. That rides through as a pass-through cost from us to the client. It has to be totally transparent, and of course the client also has the say on who we hire. They have the last interview, etc. And finally, we assign an account manager to each team as a single point of contact into GPM, and then this person will in turn make sure that we deliver from payroll, from finance, etc. So, GPM will design and fit out your office space, recruit and hire the staff working for you, and do the HR service, of course, payroll. This involves tax payments, the tedious payments to Social Security system, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, and all these things, and provide the complete workstations that I mentioned. And of course also procure any, say, additional monitors you need on the walls, or your own internet connection or whatever. And then we also perform expat service if required. We have done this a few times. So somebody coming in without a legal entity in the Philippines will need us to hire also the expats, so we do that. We help them find a place to stay, international school if needed. We put up the money for that up front, and help with cars and housing and all that. An interesting example of the flexibility we have: 3 years ago, we had 2 Danish expats coming in with families. They both wanted, would have liked at least, to get a Toyota Fortuner, but the budget they came with for leasing was 55,000 pesos a month. When we looked around, we couldn't find any Fortuners to lease at that price. So we just asked another Magsaysay company to buy 2 Fortuners, lease them to GPM at 55,000 a month. That was the way to be a bit flexible. So, which positions have we filled? Just some sample clients. We got already, well, the very first client since we moved into this space 9 years ago is the world's largest marine e-portal. And for that company, we have filled these positions, if you're able to distinguish that, mostly IT and finance. And we have also actually been developing some ads for them, some online ads. I should add that GPM does do a bit of proper outsourcing, 2 and 3D animation, visualization, etc. We also do payroll for Magsaysay's 40,000 Filipino seafarers. But now I'm talking about offshoring. We had this US client come in for the care industry. This is child care, pet care, elder care in the States, the largest operator. They needed people in the Philippines to vet the staff before hiring, to do background checks, social media profile checks, etc. And a small company in Singapore needed some programmers. We have a Norwegian shipping company. They now have 90 people in our office after 3 years, close to 4 years. They have a variety of positions: marine accountants, ordinary accountants, IT folks, help desk, etc. Some more special shipping-related positions like vessel operators and late-time analysts. So far, we have been able to meet all the recruitment requirements of any of our clients. We have a telecommunications company as well. We work just with them in Denmark. That's why we call it a Danish company, but it is actually Norwegian-based, 55,000 people in 16 countries. And we do a bit of offshoring for their Danish arm. So these are all telecommunications engineers that we have hired for them. We have the Europe's largest kitchen manufacturer. This was actually quite a challenge to find programmers on Delphi. It is not a very new language or code, but we managed to find that for them as they needed to update their systems, 3D object coordinator, etc. Various jobs to be filled there. And this one came in a contract signing just in January this year. The world's largest ship chandler. When a ship or the ship manager orders supplies and stores for the next port call, it can be food, it can be no nuts and bolts or rope or an auxiliary engine almost. They will contact this company. So they handle hundreds of RFQs every week in their 16 offices around the world. And we have just set them up with so far 35 staff in our office, but we are definitely heading beyond 100 in their team this year in these positions. And they have decided also to start doing a bit of F&A, starting with the easy bit, accounts payable. So, since I cannot invite you all to my office today at least, let me say where we are located. We are in the original city of Manila, occupying 3 floors there. We think it's a great location because we are close to 4 universities, so that's great for the talent pipeline. We are close to public transport. There's not a lot of that in Manila, but in the right-hand corner at the bottom you see a blue roof. That is actually a station on the light rail transit with a covered walkway straight into our office. So this means we do get quite a lot of staff from the south, from Cavite. They come up on the coastal road, connect to the LRT, or even folks from Quezon City who can cut across without needing to go on EDSA, which is a bit troubled. And we're probably the only operation around there in the BPO space. So we can get the folks that do not want to commute to Makati or Tigas for outsourcing jobs. These are the 3 receptions on the 3 floors. We have varying setups depending on what clients require. In this case, no side partitions, 1.5 meter desks. We can also make it a bit denser. It all depends what the client needs and the kind of work that will be carried out. So these are just some photos. And of course, loads of meeting rooms on 2 floors. The smaller ones can be combined to larger ones for the big group. meeting room usage is free of charge for our clients. And being in the Philippines, you need always big pantries. This is where a lot of company celebrations take place, even town hall meetings. So this is important to have. And we also have a bit of space for expansion. And since the Magsaysay group occupies 2/3 of Times Plaza and owns part of it, I think we can also count on finding additional space in the building if we need to. So this was just shamelessly talking about the company I work for, because we offer, I think, an interesting little niche for the companies who do not want to risk losing control by outsourcing to a third party, and also do not feel they have the size to set up their own center, shoulder the investment, try to guess how big will we be, how many square meters should we take for the next 2, 3, 4 years, etc. And again, a big advantage, no one needs to incorporate a local company here. We do that. We hire the people. They work for the client abroad, who maintains control through the account manager, through, of course, controlling individual productivity as best they can. In this connection, I can say we see that clients usually station a country manager only when they reach the size of 30 to 40 people, maybe even 50. At that point, they do want someone in our office who can look after the troops. So that was really it. I think I caught us up a bit on the schedule. Thank you very much.